Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Evolving Activist. I'm Lauren Morn, and I'm curious as we come to the end of this year, what is still left undone for you? What haven't you done that you really want to get finished this year? So I've been thinking a lot about this because, I'm working on wrapping up some stuff for this year that I really, I'm not interested in carrying over into next year as an unfinished task. I want to make sure that it is complete because of a couple of things. One, it's a task that I've been putting off for a long time, and the longer I've put it off, the bigger it's gotten. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever had a task that you just kept putting off? And like it was little when you first put it off, the first time you put it off, it was a little task. And then the next time you put it off, it got a bit bigger. And then the next time it got a bit bigger. And then it got bigger. And then it just became this giant, gargantuan, monstrous task that every time you thought about attacking it or tackling it, you just got this knot in your stomach and you felt just overwhelmed. And immediately I feel really exhausted. Like the minute I start to go, okay, I've got to get that done. I really have to get that done now. I just immediately start getting really tired. Like it's kind of like almost like a narcolepsy. It's like, oh, I just really need to go take a nap. Right. Um, but we've come to December and I've decided that, I don't want to have this thing undone any longer. It's, it's getting bigger every time I put it off. And with that, it's causing me more stress, right? I have this constant nagging feeling of, oh my God, I've got to get that thing done, right? And I suspect that that's something that quite a few other people in the world might experience from time to time, that we've avoided something long enough to actually make it a problem, right? And then now that it's a problem, we avoid it even more, right? And we just don't want to get to it. And sometimes that can create some really big ramifications for us in our lives. And the other thing, as a gestaltist, having that unfinished business, that thing that I've not resolved, hanging over me, it's a drain, and it's it's incongruent with how I want to live as a Gestalt practitioner. So in the interest of being aligned and in the interest of moving forward with my life and reducing my stress and reducing the clutter in my brain, I'm going to get this thing done. But I wanted to share with you um, some of my process, just in hopes that maybe it'll help you. If you've ever had something that you've put off long enough for it to get really big or to become a real problem, maybe this will help with you. Maybe you can take a look at it and tackle it, address it before maybe before the end of the year, even. So, um, these things that we put off could be anything, right? It could be filing, right? It's okay to not file a few things one month, but then the next month it's a few more things, and then the next month it's a few more things, and by the end of the year it's this big fat file of, oh my God, I've got hours of filing to do. Um, it could be a conversation that didn't go well, or that you didn't resolve a disagreement or something like that, and so you've just avoided it and avoided it and avoided it, and now all of a sudden months have gone by and you haven't spoken to somebody who is really important to you. It could be anything, really anything. So just to kind of let you know my process around this thing that I'm tackling now. um, First of all, acknowledge to myself that I have been avoiding it. I've been avoiding this thing. And to recognize for me that that's actually part of a strategy to try and manage my own stress. It's a little bit like procrastination, right? It's kind of like an extreme form of procrastination. I'm avoiding this to try and manage my stress. Okay, I'm also avoiding it because there may be some some stuff around it, right? Some stuff that may be an unresolved belief system, um, or a story that I'm telling myself about something to do with this task. And so to really kind of look at it, okay, what might that be? And um, let me challenge that. You know, is it really true that I'm bad at dealing with this thing, or is it really true that that this is as bad a problem as I think it is, right? Or is it really true that that I'm just no good at it, that I'm no good at doing this sort of thing? Um, so really looking at that, my belief systems around it. You know, um, where's this come from? Where's this? Where have I maybe seen this pattern of avoidance in my life before? Right? How has it served me then? um, Recognize that it's not serving me now, that it is actually, in fact, doing the opposite of what it was intended to do. It is not reducing my stress, it is, in fact, increasing it, right? So, acknowledging that. Um, for me, definitely forgiving myself, giving myself some compassion. Um, you know, reminding myself that I'm not the only person on the planet who's ever let things get out of hand in a certain area, right? Be it something as little as filing or something as big as, I don't know, whatever. But I'm not the only person on the planet that's ever done this, right? I'm not alone. I'm not the worst person on the world in the world. Um, and that it's all going to be okay. I just need to take some action, right? So forgive myself for it. It's okay. You're a human being. Human beings do things like this. And you have a choice right now. You don't have to keep digging this hole. You can finish this task, get it done, get it off your back, and relieve that stress and that pressure. Um, so I just recently did a like a 5-day challenge with a coach on Facebook, and one of the things that we talked about was, really kind of getting back to our why. Why do I want to get this done? Why do I want to finish it? What's important about it for me? Why is it imperative to do? And then on the heels of that, why is it important to do now? Why is now the time to get this done? Right? For me, it's why is now finally the time to get this done? Um, because I'm tired of it hanging over me. I I want to relieve the pressure. I want to create the space in my brain that this thing is taking up. I want to create that space so that I can use it for more fun things, for more creative things. Um, so really, getting in touch with that. Why do I want to do it? I want to do it because I want to be back in alignment with how I I, I see myself moving forward. Right. I want to I want to feel accomplished. I want to um, feel competent. Right. So tapping into those, like how does it feel for me to feel competent? How will it feel once I've got this thing done and I can feel good about having accomplished something? So really, really kind of jumping into those yummy feelings of, this is going to be amazing when I get it done. I'm going to feel so good, right? On the flip side of that, what if I don't get it done? What if I just leave it hanging and let it continue to snowball and get bigger and bigger and bigger? How's that going to feel? Oh, that's going to feel terrible. That's going to feel awful. I mean, it's pretty much unbearable now, right? So the longer I leave this, the more awful it's going to feel. Okay, good. So why are we doing it now? Well, one, because I've reached the end of my tolerance for this stress. I've reached the end of my tolerance for this growing task. right? And I don't want to feel that bad. And also, I do want to feel that yummy awesomeness of having gotten it done. So, so I'm forgiving myself. I'm showing myself compassion. I'm understanding my reasons why I do want to do this and my consequences, right? What's gonna happen if I don't do this? And in fact, because quite often human beings will do more to avoid pain than they will to pursue pleasure. Strange beings we are, but that's it's something that seems to be um, fairly prevalent in our species. So what I can do, in fact, is I can tell myself a story of just how awful it's going to be, what the terrible consequences are going to be if I don't do this, to the point where I'm like, all right, I really, really have to. And creating that sense of urgency for myself, right? I have must do this. Um, and then reminding myself that I don't have to complete it all in one go. I don't have to try and do the year's worth of task in a day. What I do have to do is get started. I do have to take some action, right? And so this is where things like the Slight Edge principle come in. Slight Edge was a book written by Jeff Olson, where he talks about small, consistent actions every day, right? It's kind of like compounding interest in the bank, right? You put $1 in the bank today, and then tomorrow you're putting $1 in the bank, but you've got $1 plus the interest that it earned, right? And then tomorrow you put $1 in the bank, and now you've got $3 plus the interest that they've learned. And what happens? Boop, 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 that compounding interest grows it, right? Same with small, consistent actions. Every little action you take starts to get that flywheel rolling, starts to compound on itself, and before you know it, you've got the task done. So for me, it was like, okay, setting some time aside. What's one thing I can do today towards that goal? One thing, right? And there's some research that talks about small habits, tiny habits, right? What's the smallest increment, right? The smallest thing that I can do towards that goal. Set that as my goal for today. What I found when I'm doing this, and this is in alignment with the research, is that I do that one little thing and then I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. I can just do a bit more and maybe a bit more, right? So maybe it's like, I'm going to work on this for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, it's like, that wasn't so bad. I could probably do another 10. Maybe I can do 30, right? Um, and so, because I've already accomplished the goal that I set for myself, then I can celebrate everything extra that I do, right? And because I set myself that small goal, it wasn't so hard to do, but then it makes it easy to do more, right? So there's that. And the other thing is taking care of myself as I do it, right? Celebrating along the way. Yes, yes, I got this thing done. Great. You know, um, before I sit down to do it, I'm going to make sure that I have my nice warm drink, right? That I'm going to have my office warm and cozy, and maybe I'm going to play some good music, right, as I get started on this task, and so I can make it as pleasurable as possible, right? It doesn't have to be that. I don't have to be sitting here flagellating myself, right? I can be sitting here saying, okay, I'm going to do 10 minutes of this task, and while that 10 minutes is going, I'm going to play some really nice music. I'm going to sip my nice warm drink. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to make this as pleasurable as possible, right? And guess what? Tends to be pleasurable enough that maybe I'm going to keep doing it. Oh, and I'm making some progress. I'm going to keep doing it, right? So before too long, I've made an indent, right? And now I'm starting to feel, okay, maybe I can get this done, and just keep moving forward like that. So that's the process that I am following right now. The other thing that I did was I asked for help. Now, this is something that is really, really hard for me to do. It's really, it is, I am pathologically bad at asking for help, and it is something that I do work on. Um, So what I did was I reached out to some people and I asked them for help. Now that help can look like, hey, I'm going to be working on this thing from 10 till 11 on Friday morning. Um, can I can I maybe just like call you up on Zoom and can we co-work together just for that hour? Just so that I kind of have somebody co-working alongside me. Um, it could look like I hopped on a Facebook group of of peers and basically said, "Hey, I've got this problem. Anyone know how I can solve it? Anyone got any suggestions?" And actually got pointed to a really, really good resource and followed through on that referral. Found myself connected with somebody who's going to help me out a lot for a lot less money than I thought it was going to be. And so now I have resources, right? Now I have support. I have a friend of mine who's kind of being an accountability buddy. She's cheering me on. We co-work from time to time, and I have professional resources to help me. So that is important, right? Ask for help, even if it's just like, hey, would you text me on Friday to make sure that I've done this thing, right? It could be anything as small as that, right? Um, get some support for yourself as you do these tasks, right? Now, the other thing to think about is also when you think about why do I want to do this task, is do I want to do this task, right? I'll remember a time when I was working with a, a coach and her beautiful horse, and we were working on some goal setting. And every time I tried to move forward with my plan for this goal, the horse would walk in front of me and just stop me. He would literally block me. And I was getting kind of frustrated because I'm like, look, I'm pretty clear on my plan, right? I've got my smart plan. I'm ready to go. I know what I've got to do. And the horse just kept going, nope, 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 nope. And until I was getting really frustrated, until my coach said to me, is this a project you should be working on? Is this a goal you should be pursuing? And I was like, no, it's not. It was this big realization, this big aha moment for me. It was like I was so focused on how I was going to get this thing done and getting it done that I had never stopped to question whether it was something that I should be doing. And it wasn't. It really wasn't. So once I had that awareness, the next step was then how do I release this? How do I extricate myself from this commitment in a graceful and integrous way, right? So for me, with this task that's been building up and up and up and up, the question is this something that I should do or do that I need to do? Right? In this case, the answer is an unequivocal yes. You absolutely have to do this. Okay. All right, good. If the answer was no, I don't really need to do this. I've just let it get big. And you know what? I could just trash the whole thing and just say, you know what? I'm never going to get to it. That would still be okay, right? If there were no consequences to me dropping the project, right? If there were, if like, let's say it was a I don't know, an initiative that I was working on that maybe I wanted to launch a product, right? And I get to this point and I go, wow, this thing's just been building and building as a to do. But when I look at it, you know, I just don't really ever think that I'm going to launch that product. I don't really care too much about it. In that situation, it's perfectly okay for me to say, well, let's not throw more, you know, throw good time after bad. Let's just call it quits and say done, right? Check it off. That I count that as a completion, right? I've said I'm not going to do it, and now it is off my, and now I can throw everything away. Just throw it all away. I'm not going to do it, right? This thing that I have been letting build up, this task that I've been letting build up, is not one of those. It's not something that I can just say, no, don't think I'm going to do it. Right? There will be consequences if I don't get to it. So I do actually have to do it. So that's good to know, right? I'm going to get forward. Then I can move forward with the process of forgiving, self-compassion, you know, small incremental progress, um, asking for help, getting resources, etc., etc. Okay. Um, so all of this to say, I know you've got stuff that is unfinished. I know that you've been tolerating things that are not complete. My question to you is, do you want to continue tolerating that, or do you want to get it done, get it complete, one way or the other? Either I'm not going to do it, or this is how I'm going to do it. And if you do, what's your plan to get there? Right? Can you forgive yourself for letting it get to this? And then what's your plan to move forward? And if you need any support with that, feel free to reach out to me. Right? I'd be happy to hop on a coaching call with you. I'd be happy to share resources with you. I do highly recommend the book, Begin with Yes. I think it's Begin with Yes. Um, that basically just talks about action, right? Take some action. I think I've got a quote from it here. Hang on a second. Um, I'm just pulling up my quotes here. This one, I love this, right? The book is actually called The Power of Yes. The Power of Yes. Taking action, no matter how small, sets things in motion. And motion, no matter how small, is power, right? It's always easier to navigate something that's moving, right? If you try and steer a car that's not moving, you're not, it's harder to steer. But once you're rolling, right, you can steer it, and you can move, and you can get to where you need to go. Okay. So, so my invitation to you is to just sit with this. What am I going to stop tolerating? And what am I going to finish before the end of this year? What am I going to finish before the end of the year so that I can start the next year without this over my head, and finish being either I'm going to decide once and for all that I'm not going to do it, or I'm going to take action and complete it, right? I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to hear what you've been avoiding. I'd love to hear what your plan is for completing. Um, and please remember, if you need any help with this, I'm here. This is something that um, I'm going through myself, as you can tell, as I've just shared. But it's also something that I would love to support all of you through, right? So even if it's just in the comments, drop a comment, let me know. Um, and I think I just stopped recording. Interesting. All right, something's happened with my computer. But yeah, let me know. I'm looking forward to it. All right. And with that, I hope that you're having a safe and healthy day or evening wherever you are in the world. And I'll catch you on the flip side.